Okay, we are live on YouTube, so we'll have a discussion later.
Yeah.
So let's check if we have some participants on YouTube. I can't even see the live. Are we live on YouTube? Yeah, it says.
Yes, we are.
But I can't see.
There are no participants there also.
Maybe they're all sitting together like Dakshai.
No, but there's not even one.
Not even
that's
one,
very unlikely. Interesting. I can't see the live. Are we live on YouTube? Wow.
Maybe we can have a conversation on leadership.
Hello? Hanji sir.
So could you mute Kamal? Could you please mute Shikha? So I gave a lecture on leadership today to my MBA students, Vivek.
Okay.
And I weaved in some stories from, or 5 leadership lessons that I've learned from some amazing people I've worked with. And one was my inspiration, which is Steve Jobs. So I was learning from you. I was trying to bring in, my learnings of listening to you so many times. And it's been so, but so I spoke about 5 things. I spoke about values, which are so important, which you speak about. I spoke about creativity and passion. I spoke about dreaming. I spoke about maintaining your, I think something is being written. The principal said she'd shared the invite with teachers. Okay. Probably
Otherwise,
it's not
what
happening.
we can do is have a, since we already scheduled this session, then we'll have a...
Why don't we start? Let's do it, Vivek. Let's talk about leadership. So why don't we have a conversation about leadership today?
Yeah, let's do that.
Why don't you start, Vivek, and then I'll keep asking questions. Why don't you give us your 5 leadership mantras? And from there, we'll get into a Q&A. I'll give you my 5, and we'll then get into an interesting discussion.
Sounds interesting to me. So whoever's looking at this video, watching this video, thank you for joining. And Atul, Khosla and I are going to be talking about leadership and its nuances, which are different from nuisances, which is often the spelling mistake that happens. Just a lighter side joke to start the proceedings. So leadership and its nuances, and Shoolini University is conducting these wonderful webinars for academia, and leadership is one of the themes that we talk about. I'm very happy to be speaking to you on this theme. So 5 nuances of leadership, let's talk about them. The first nuance of leadership is to probably be an example, in my view, that, you are basically, it's not what you say, but what you are. So how you conduct yourself in private, in public, how you speak to people, how much you smile, how calm you are in a crisis. All these things prove that you are a good example if you are these things to your team. And your team might, pick up so much by just watching you instead of from what you say in meetings or in discussions. So this being an example and being inspiring in a way is a great asset for leadership to have. And some leaders are very inspiring. Captain of a cricket team, let's say Sachin Tendulkar was the captain of the cricket team. He didn't lack inspiration for others. He never lacked the example that he had to set for others. And so, but there are other things involved where leadership is tested. So just being an example and being an inspiration is perhaps not enough. The
So let
second
me
is to
push
understand your
just
team.
question over here, Vivek,
Sure.
because you spoke about Sachin, and we all know that he was god of cricket, but as a captain, he sort of struggled. And of course, others then came in to take his place. So what's your sense? Where did Sachin lack? Clearly, he was inspiring as a player. I know
Absolutely
you were
correct. So
coming to that, so I'm just asking this question
absolutely
because
correct. So I was, that's what I'm trying to come to, that the example, being an example and being inspiring is not enough. The second part of it is understanding the situation and your team. So a leader has a team, a leader has followers, otherwise a leader cannot exist in a vacuum. He or she has to understand the components of the team, the people in the team, the personality types in the team, and what he or she can actually expect from them if they give their best. Even if they give their best, their output will be limited to their capacity to perform. So Sachin Tendulkar, if we talk of him, expected everybody in the team to be as brilliant as himself. He expected everyone to be as committed, as passionate, as dedicated. Perhaps that is where he lacked that leadership nuance, that everybody cannot be Sachin Tendulkar. You may set the example, but you cannot expect, let's say, MSK Prasad, who was also the chairman of selectors recently, to perform like Tendulkar. I mean, he doesn't have that flair and he doesn't have that brilliance. So a leader has to appreciate and understand each component of his team. That's the second point that I wanted to bring out. The people skills. The people skills is the third one actually, because that means that while understanding your team, getting the best out of them depends on how you can egg them on to give their best in the particular field they're good at. One person may be a go-getter, aggressive, or maybe very dynamic at doing things, speaking to people, reaching out. Very, very dynamic in that, and you can put him in a field which is appropriate, like outreach, like marketing, like sales, like promotion, perhaps. Another one, very good at organizing papers and files and computer documents and meticulous detail and schedules and timetables and even leading a team of that sort. So he is someone who you will dedicate to working in an organized manner. So you have to understand that these two people are different, and allocating work to the right person. You give the wrong person that job, then they won't do the same task as well. Atul, any comments?
no, I so agree with you on this one, Vivek. And the question that was coming to my mind, of course, you'll come to the other parameters, but are leaders born, or are they, you can actually train yourself to become a good leader?
I was listening to, now the very interesting that you brought this up. There must have been some intuition. I was going to speak about General Manekshaw, Sam Manekshaw, and I was listening to him yesterday. I mean, a video recording, obviously, and he spoke in St. Xavier's, Mumbai, Bombay, in 90 something, and that recorded speech is priceless to watch. So he said, and I totally agree with him. He says leaders have to be made. He says nobody, you may have certain traits, you may have that quality which is required as a leader, but leaders can be built. Leadership can be a skill which is implanted into people, which is educated. I mean, people are educated in that skill. So I think team building up leadership is something that also needs to be focused upon by our educational institutions. A lot of qualities can be taught and imbibed by them. Many of them are maybe not amenable to that because they don't have the basics. But I think leadership can be built up in people. Most people can take up those leadership skills. But I'm going to add one more. That is my favorite is emotional intelligence. So your leadership will also depend on how you speak to people, how you react to crisis, how much compassionate you are, and how balanced you are in when someone is provoking you or when the situation is going out of control. So your mind sorry, is the actually the place where your leadership skills are tested the most. In your own mind, you will fear defeat, you will fear decline, you will fear losses, and those that mind will tell you that you will not be able to succeed if you do this or you don't do this. So you have to combat your own fears and worries at that point and become an emotionally intelligent person who is able to carry out the leadership tasks without getting ruffled and without getting fearful. and you become largely fearless. Largely fearless, I say, because even Manek Shaw said yesterday that anyone who says that he's never scared is not a human being, except a Gorkha, he says. A Gorkha is the only human being who's never scared. He says, Baki sab, they have fear, because fear is something that comes from human tendencies. And just before I pass it to you, let me tell you a joke about a Gorkha. So there was this Bahadur working for an army officer, and the madam told the Bahadur, she says, Bahadur, जब 3 सीटी बजेंगी तो मुझे बुला लेना. तो pressure cooker, obviously. So the Bahadur comes after 1 minute and says, Mem साहब सीटी आप बजाएंगे या साहब बजाएंगे? So that is something which Bahadurs can also have, but fearless.
I think that's a great one. He definitely demonstrated fearlessness by going to the, Saab and the Mem Saab asking such a question.
Asking
right?
that
So
question.
many wouldn't even do that. No,
Yeah.
so true. I gave a lecture on leadership in the morning, and it's of course very similar to what you were saying. And I spoke about 5 stories of 5 people that I've worked with, whom I've learned a few leadership traits. And I'll pick a couple of them, Vivek, because these are so relevant for especially young people who are getting into the workforce. So it's normally believed that, if you do politics, you'll be more successful. People who are the so-called chalu guys are the ones who get promotions. And I just wanted to mention something that I learned from Sandeep Bakshi. Sandeep is a very dear friend of mine. He's now the CEO of ICICI Bank. Some of you might know about him. So I've spent many, many hours talking and listening to him about leadership and how he runs his company. And I think the one lesson which I've always heard from him is to say that, Atul, these young kids just don't know what they're doing. The only thing that matters in the corporate world, in the business world, in the government even, and you should talk about that, Vivek, is work. So in the short term, you might gain a little bit here and there through politics, but it's really your ability to deliver the task given to you by the organization is what finally really matters in the longer run. So I wanted to bring this up because so many times I come across young, either faculty members or young people that I mentor, where they say, "Sir, हमारी तरक्की इसलिए नहीं हुई क्योंकि I couldn't play politics." And there is a big thinking that politics is so important. I don't know what your views are, Vivek, on this one.
No, I totally agree. I think that, this is a part of morality. Actually, it's about right thinking people. And also, largely, if you look at it, if I have to win by maybe spoiling somebody else's chances or indulging in politics, or, of course, networking is something that is required. People mistake that for politics. You are in touch with someone who matters. You communicate well with that person. You keep him updated with what you're doing. That is networking. You keep connected to new people. You go out and reach out. So this is a leadership skill also, and even for a professional, anyone. But if you are indulging in machinations, complaint bazi, or getting into something, trying to set up some intrigue, then that is something very much not required. Which brings me to the next point that even Sam Manekshaw spoke about it. I'm full of that lecture because I heard it. Is moral courage. So moral courage is basically doing the right thing when it is tempting to do the wrong thing. And that, as a leader, that is when you're tested. That we could easily cut corners here, or we could do this and get that tender from the government. You spoke about the government by indulging in a practice which is not required, but we won't do it. That is leadership. Tata's and Infosys are 2 companies which I often name publicly. They will not have any shady entries in their balance sheet, which could be miscellaneous, which could be gray areas. So I know for a fact, and we are on YouTube, I'm saying it, that Infosys was setting up a campus in Punjab, and Patwari troubled the lowest rung employee of Infosys and said that they demanded something. So Infosys did not only get into that. The person at the helm actually met the chief secretary and told him that, see, if your Patwari is going to do this, then we are going back to Karnataka or wherever we came from. We are not going to set up in Punjab. So these kinds of above board leadership styles also matter. And the next point I'm going to talk about is loyalty. But before that, Atul, anything else you want to add on this one?
No, no, absolutely. I think there's a couple of points I'd like to add, Vivek. Why don't you go ahead and then we'll get into the discussion.
Sure. So loyalty is something that I feel is also a part of leadership. Loyalty to the organization, loyalty to the cause, the passion to make your institution or organization or department or company or whatever it is do well, because not only because you will profit in the bargain, but also because you are dedicated and loyal to that cause. And that is something also which is a great leadership skill. When people see your commitment to your cause, then they realize that we should also be like him or like her. And that is something that matters also. So I think you can, loyalty is something also we need to work on. Aligning our personal goals to the organizational goals is a management kind of terminology. So you have to set your goals according to the goals of the organization. And then the larger goals become a win-win situation arises when your goals are aligned with the goal. Like I am scoring 100 after 100 in every match, my team is winning. Or I'm hitting ace after ace, my doubles team is winning. So my individual excellence is creating success of the organization. That is something which also matters. Atul, I think I'll pass it on to you now.
Yeah, I think the two things which I wanted to bring up over here, and I think you were hinting towards them. I think the first one is the ability to dream. So sometimes I get very pissed off, if that's the right word to put over here, Vivek. I'll ask young students or I'll ask young faculty or teachers, what's your dream? And they articulate a dream in the most average way, if that's the right word. They would say, my dream is to be a successful manager in a good company. To me, that's not a dream. That's sort of a fact. A dream would be where you say, I want to be the prime minister of the country, or I want to be, I've seen someone like Vivek and I admire him, and I want to be an IAS officer and then sort of have the courage to leave the IAS and become a motivational speaker. Or, for example, my dream is to win the Nobel Prize. And I mean, a dream has to be audacious. It has to be big and large. It has to be something that gives us goose pimples when you think about it. And that's the only way big things happen. And I'm going to quote a dialogue from Shah Rukh Khan's very famous movie, which is "इतनी शिद्दत से तुम्हें पाने की कोशिश की है कि हर जर्रे ने हमें मिलाने की साजिश की है." तो जब तक वो शिद्दत नहीं करेंगे, जब तक हम बड़ा नहीं सोचेंगे, तब तक हम बड़ा नहीं अचीव कर सकते. So great leaders, in my opinion, also dream very big. Things which are impossible, they start dreaming about it and they make it happen. I'm a very, very big fan of Steve Jobs. And I think he also said that great leaders also are crazy, that think crazy thoughts. And there's a wonderful, small video that they made where they said that if you're not crazy enough to change the world, then you won't change the world. Or they actually flipped it around by saying, if you're crazy enough to change the world, you will. And I think that's so true. Being crazy, dreaming like mad, I would say, is a key component or a key characteristic of a great leader. So it's something that you can train yourself in. So start daydreaming, guys. If your teachers tell you, or if your friends tell you, or if your elders tell you not to daydream, I would say don't take that advice. Do daydream, but then work on it. Work on your dreams every day. Give 30 minutes of it life every day to work on a dream, and you'll see your dreams coming true. So that's one thought. And I think the next one I would also say, Vivek, is values. Again, I think you brought about it. You brought about the fact that Infosys and TCS are the Tatas are examples of that. Again, many times when I meet young souls, they'll say that, oh, मेरे को दुनियादारी नहीं आती. So live to your values, be honest. People will respect you. In the longer run, I can tell you that if you have your values intact, you'll be much, much more successful. You'll become a great leader. Your subordinates will respect you. So these are a few thoughts from my end, Vivek. And, towards the end, let's summarize them also.
Sure, Atul, I totally agree with you on both these. And in fact, that dream part also leads me to something very linked and which we have mentioned in the past is inspiration. which is Josh, which is basically that leadership, or even a teacher. Now, we have viewers who are teachers. So teachers who have enthusiasm and josh and inspiration in their minds and hearts, they will perform better because they are dedicated to their work. They love their work. They have that extra energy when they go to work, and because they have that extra energy and love for their work, they put that extra bit into it, and that actually is the X factor which yields results. The X factor comes from that extra bit comes from having a passion for what you're doing, and without a dream, without that love for what you do, without that really dedicated approach, it won't work. Half-heartedly we can't do things. When we are half-hearted or quarter-hearted, then we won't really be able to succeed at all. So my the point is that energize yourself. Even teachers who have done 20 to 30 years, or officers, I talk to young officers at times, even if when you do 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, energize yourself somehow by having some goal at your in your mind, that in this year I want to become from this to this. And you can also add personal goals. You are looking forward to your day at work, then you are looking forward to your evening dance class maybe, or karate class, or guitar class, or cooking class, or you are teaching something which others don't know, writing something which maybe writing a novel, maybe writing stories, short stories. So anything that gives you that extra edge in life and that extra energy in life, and which is also a kind of really important factor in your life. And also, I'd like to add one more point here, which we have talked about so many times, and which you and I are now very good at. But I must tell you, even I was. I mean, you often talk about it, Atul, that you took many years to become a good speaker, orator. 7 years you practiced with your camera. But being a good communicator is a vital essence component of leadership. And we were never communicating like this earlier, I guess. But there are people who improve their communication skills by hard work. The teachers need communication skills. The principal needs communication skills. All of us need communication skills. So should we become better communicators, we will be able to do better as leaders also. Leadership is about conveying your passionate ideas, or your the way you think, to others, so that they can also contribute to the success that you are looking for. So you being committed to something and knowing exactly what you want for the organization is not of much value unless you have told your team, 20, 30 of them, that this is exactly what I feel we should do. And once the goal has been decided, that communication continues and people are on the same page, so to say. So I'll give an example here, which I haven't used for a while. Jeff Bezos has not really, I mean, as of now, not become the kind of charitable person that, or let's say, hasn't set up a foundation, as far as I know, with lots of charity and donations going out. May have started a few in the last couple of years. But as a professional leader, he has adopted a couple of tactics. One of them is that everybody who comes to a meeting will have to read the agenda items for the first 10 minutes. So Jeff Bezos says, no speaking for the first 10 minutes. Everybody read the agenda papers together in their minds. Now, when the boss is sitting there and you are sitting there, you have to read because it's right in front of you. He knows that people are reading or not reading agenda papers before the meeting. They are on the run. They understand the vision, half of it or not half of it. So he gets people to read that, and only then they start speaking. This is a way of communication, in a way, getting your ideas across, unique idea. So these are the things I wanted to share for now. We want to show a video, Atul, or what's the plan?
I think before we do that, I'd love to show a video on Shoolini. Of course, I think that's always part of the mandate. Uh, I mean, from your perspective, if you're a teacher or you're a student, uh, what could, because normally when we associate ourselves as a leader, we look at hierarchy, I'm leading a team. But can I be a leader being a good citizen, or I can be a leader being just doing my own job well? Is that something that I can do? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that is also a good point. just being a good citizen and doing your own work and conducting your own life in a manner that is exemplary. You see, being an example to your family, to your extended family, to your neighborhood, that person, Mr. Sharma, Mr. Khanna, Mr. Gupta, Mr. Singh, he is an amazing man. This man is, very punctual, very regular, very diligent. So by being a good citizen, by saying the right things, being positive, cheerful, you are actually spreading that aura to others, and you are doing your job as a good leader by being a shining example of what an individual should be. So, as I said earlier in the first point, being the example, even if people are not technically your followers in a group or a team or an organization, they may be inspired by you just by the fact that you are what you are. And in fact, in our we had a session on meditation today live. In the spiritual path, it is said that don't try to change others. Try to change yourself to a level that people are inspired to see what you are, and then you don't need to change others because they want to be like you.
Now, this is so good. The reason I brought this up, Vivek, is because my opinion is every teacher today is a leader, especially in the Corona world. All of you have stepped up. All of you are running online lectures. Apart from the fact that your mothers or fathers, or you also have families, you're all working very, very hard to ensure that our students learn, our students continue to get inspired, our students continue to have motivation to make themselves good human beings. And that's exactly the passion that we also have at Shoolini, Vivek. One of the reasons why we established Shoolini was to take these young minds and make them world beaters. And that's my passion. So I wanted to share a small video with you with that on that particular context, and we'll then sort of summarize. There were 5 things I said, 5 or 6 things you said. So probably we should summarize all the 10 together so that people can jot down the notes. And then I also love to hear from you, your Gita, the 26 traits of a leader from Gita.
I've got them here.
Right. So would love to see how many of our thoughts match with the Gita. So before that, let me play
quite a few of them.
Play the video, and if you allow me.
Sure.
Throughout history, the young have always been the ones to shape the future. And they continue to do so today. You are the country's biggest asset, our best bet to conquer the future. So what are you waiting for? Your time to dream is now. Dream of the research that can change the world. Dream of a high-flying corporate career. Dream of higher studies in the world's best universities. Dream of developing cutting-edge technology of the future. Dream of your own global startup. Shoolini University, we empower you and enable you to chase your dreams and change the world. Shoolini University. Think learning, think success.
Thank you. So we've got a request. We've got actually Vishwas Goswami, who's saying, good evening, I'm coming to do my MBA from Shoolini, excited. So we've
Well,
already got a fan, Vivek. Thank you, Vishwas, for such wonderful words. Uh, so should we just summarize, Vivek? There
yes,
are 8, 9 traits we spoke about. You want to just summarize those and then we get into the Gita?
sure. So the first is, as I mentioned, being an example. Being an example means that you are what you say others should be. That means that I don't only tell people what to do, but I am like that myself. So I have to exhibit those qualities. Secondly, understanding your team, understanding the people you work with, appreciating that they are from different backgrounds, different mindsets, and they are different human beings. So trying to understand your team to the fullest. And then third, allocating work according to their skill sets, and being very smart in that sense, that I will give this person this particular job because he is good at this, and not this particular job someone else can do it, even if you have to be a little innovative in that and not go strictly by hierarchy if you look in the corporate sector or government also. So this is the third, work allocation. The fourth is emotional intelligence and understanding people, understanding what makes them tick, and then empathizing with them, speaking to them properly, not losing your cool and not speaking harshly, and then understanding how to react to panic situations or distress signals, and then being unruffled and calm. Emotional intelligence is a large topic with so many skills required, that also. And the fifth is, let's put them together, that moral courage and loyalty. The moral courage is basically that you don't flinch even if temptation comes, that let's do it this way, shortcut, or wrong things. So let's not indulge in all that. I gave the examples of Tatas and Infosys, as I said. So a lot of officers in the government also, I've seen so many inspiring people who are exemplary, and never there are legends about them. There was a time when you used to say that most of the government officers are honest, about 40 years ago, 50 years ago. But these days you say that most of them are not. It is not like that, but I find a lot of them have gone astray. Yet there are so many of them who are not going astray and are loyal to their work. So loyalty is the last part, that you're loyal to the organization and you see in the betterment of the organization your own progress. Your goals are aligned to the goals of the organization and you're loyal to the organization, come what may. These are the skills that I wanted to share. Atul,
So
and
I'll
I'll
add 3 more over here, which I spoke about, Vivek. One was dreaming like crazy, like mad.
yeah.
Great leaders will be great dreamers. The second thing which I wanted to mention to everyone is to have a passion beyond your work. So great leaders will typically, you spoke on meditation, some people meditate like you, Vivek, and that's why they're smiling all the time. There's some people who follow other hobbies. So do have a hobby if you want to be a great leader. You have to be an interesting person also to be a great leader. And I think the third thing I'd like to add just over here would be to say that, keep away from politics, whatever people might tell you, make sure that you're working and you're working for the organization. And that's what Vivek also said. I think these are the 7, 8 things which we sort of align with. And Gita also talks about great leaders. So let's look at what Gita talks about.
Yes, so I've got 26 qualities which are given in the Gita by Lord Krishna in his discourse. And these are actually for all human beings. But if leadership exhibits them, then other human beings will be, inspired. So these are not, we cannot be perfect in them, but we have to improve. So I'll try and explain them very in one word, each of them. Fearlessness is quite clear. Fearlessness means not being scared of doing the right thing. Purity of inner psyche means that your thoughts are pure, your mind is focused on the right attitude and right things. Perseverance in the yoga of self-knowledge, which means meditation, which means yoga, which means self-actualization, which means self-discovery. Charity is basically empathizing for others, empathizing with others and helping others. Self-restraint is the next one, which means controlling yourself, controlling your anger, controlling your temptations, controlling your ability or your, let's say, tendency to do something wrong at times, and not allowing your habits to control you. Sacrifice is basically giving up your own interests for others, for your family, for your friends, for your organization. Study of the scriptures, we all understand, read the scriptures. Austerity, which means not splurging, not being over ostentatious, expenditure too much, too much luxury driven. Then honesty. Honesty means being diligent, being truthful. You know what honesty means. Non-violence, which means non-violence of thought also. You don't spend your years hating somebody that if pehla mauka mile to isko main ye kar dunga wo. That's not like that. So you try to be detached with your hatred and try to be centered in pure thoughts. Truthfulness is most of the time being truthful. Sometimes you slip, then you try to correct yourself. Truthfulness. Absence of anger. I said anger management, very important. Renunciation, which means renouncing things for others and decluttering your life. Decluttering, not going after material wealth, success too much, balancing your life. Equanimity, which means even-mindedness, being balanced in your reactions, whether you are happy or not happy. Abstinence from malicious talk means not saying wrong things to others, which is malicious gossip, rumors, shouting at somebody. Compassion for all creatures, which means what it says, compassion, thinking of others, thinking of even animals, plants, birds, people, of course. Freedom from greed, which means you're not lusting after wealth and possessions. Gentleness, which is self-explanatory. Modesty, humility, being humble, modest. Absence of fickleness, which means your mind is not, your tendencies are not different every day, that you say, one day you'll say so-and-so is bad, next day you'll praise him, third day again you'll be. Fickleness means that you're not solid. Splendor means splendor of personality, aura, your magnetism. Magnetism is a subject to talk about one day. Then forgiveness. Forgiveness is basically not carrying grudges and hatred and forgiving people for what they have done wrong to you, and being large-hearted. Fortitude, which means strength, inner strength. Fortitude is strength of mind. Cleanliness, which means clean lives, clean thoughts, and largely good-natured, good human beings have this. Absence of malice, you don't hate people, you don't detest people, look for revenge. Absence of pride is also humility, not being showing off all the time. These 26 qualities may seem to be too much to achieve for most human beings, but all 26 are present in us to some extent. There is no one who is zero on all these. So wherever you are, try to improve. That is the learning from the Gita. Atul?
No, I've as you were speaking, Vivek, I got a big learning, and the learning is to be a great leader, you first need to be a great human being, a good human being. So good leaders will also be good human beings. And like you always say, there's a difference between being a leader versus getting a position because someone puts you in that position, which is hierarchy. So leaders are natural. It's a natural trait. It's not about the authority that you have. Kamal has put in a lovely quote over here. He's saying his favorite quote of leaders is, and it's from Lao Tzu, a very famous Chinese philosopher. As for the worst leaders, people hate them. The next slightly better, the people fear. The better ones, the people honor and praise. But the best leaders are the ones where the people don't notice their existence. When the best leaders' work is done, the people say, we did it ourselves. So beautifully said, Vivek.
Beautiful, beautiful, absolutely.
Good. I think we're coming to our end, and thank you, Vivek, for this. Before we close, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I think this lecture, this talk, this discussion between you and me was very interesting. And I think it can be shared with a lot of youngsters. It will be useful to them. We covered a lot of points of leadership. But basically, as we said right throughout, and Atul just summed it up very well, that to be a good leader, you need to be a good human being. and you need to lead by the way you are rather than what you say. That's very, very important. So people will look up to you, and even when you're not in position, they will continue to look up to you. That is something to really celebrate, right?
Thank you, Vivek and Vishwas. If you're still there, do leave your telephone number, your mobile number, and we'll have someone reach out to you. So once again, thank you very much, Vivek. Thank you, all the participants, everyone there. I'll request Kamal to please put this recording on YouTube. And we'll be back once again tomorrow with another interesting discussion. Vivek, always so charming. Thank you very much. I am highly obliged and very excited listening to you.
Thank you, Atul. Thank you.
Have a great day and be safe. Bye-bye.